Okay, so I got a couple of seconds or minutes before I have to run out to the office. So there was a download that I received right before I went to sleep yesterday. So I was just thinking and talking to my spirit team before I went to bed. And they were like, you are practicing how to argue without getting into an argument. And I was just like, what do you mean? Because I always thought argue was a negative thing, right? So they gave me the definition of argue. And this is the definition of argue, right? And this is the definition of argument, right? So when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. So to argue is pretty much to communicate and try to sway somebody to what you want them to understand and what you want them to believe. An argument is a heated discussion that kind of turns into something crazy. So they said to me, we're training you for your partner on how to argue without it turning into an argument. Yeah, does that make sense? And I was laying in bed. I was laying in bed and I was just like, okay, because I don't want to get into any more arguments with anyone, especially my person. When they come in, it's like I want to discuss what we need to discuss. I want to communicate and compromise. I'm starting to learn from my friends that I'm an enigma when it comes to certain things, and I'm just like, I don't know. I've done enough arguing in my lifetime, and I don't want to do any more arguing. You understand? So, but for me, that was my mindset. But they're like, no, there's going to be disagreements. There's going to be challenges. You're going to have to learn them. They're going to have to learn you. You know, things that they find is funny, you might not find as funny. You understand? You know, they might do things thinking that it's cool, and you look at them like, what are you doing right now? Like, are you crazy? You're angering the spirits because you guys are the same, but you're different. You got to remember, even though this is your person, you're going to, from what I'm understanding from these people, you might get, not even might, you're going to get into disagreements. So I'm learning how to have an have I'm learning how to argue without turning it into an argument. And one of the ways it turns into an argument is if I take it personal. I'm going to just talk about myself. If I take it personal, it's going to turn into a fucking argument. You understand? It's going to turn into what the fuck. You understand? If I feel that I'm not being heard, and you hear me talking, but you're really not listening to what I'm saying to you, I get really angry about that because I'm just like, you're wasting my time. You understand? And I'm sitting here trying to figure out what the hell. You understand? But me and my friends, we came up with like this thing. So it's like it's a blue flag. I'll be like, a blue flag is if we want to have a conversation. If I want to talk about how I'm feeling, I want to talk about, like, okay, we this is a blue flag. This is a blue flag moment. I need to understand. I want to understand. So it's a blue flag. A red flag is you're pissing me off. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. Let me cool off because this is bad. So that's a red flag. It's like, okay, this is a red flag moment. I can't do this with you right now. And then it just stops. Everyone knows that when we say red flag, everything stops. We stop, we change the conversation, we go get something to eat, you go home, I go home, something happens to kill the momentum. Now, a yellow flag is all right. You're starting to piss me off. Like you're not listening to me. You're starting to piss me off. And it was like we came up with that because we kept getting into an argument, and I was just like, "Yo, why do we keep getting into arguments?" And it was because one, I channel. So a lot of times when I'm talking to my friends, it's not even me that's really talking to them, it's their spirit team talking to them. And if people would be like, "Oh, Keisha, that's not real." You could believe whatever you want. You could believe whatever you want. You are free to believe what you want. I know the life that I live. Trust me, I never thought I was going to be this woman. But it's like, I know the life I live and I know what happens. And for me, a lot of times, yesterday, I was talking to one of my friends and I was talking to him about his business. And I was sitting there going, how the hell do I know all these things? And then he's looking at me like, what the hell? And I was like, dude, I'm as surprised as you are. And I always know when it's happening, and sometimes I don't. So when I don't know when it's happening, it depends on how long the spirit wanted to tell them. And it also depends on if they're actually receiving it or not, and the spirit doesn't get upset. Because what happens sometimes to me, for me, I don't know how this turns into a channeling thing, but what happens for me is when you're not listening, the spirit gets pissed off. It's like it gets pissed off. And I don't know if they're like, you know how hard it is to get this person in one spot and to get her on the right frequency for us to be able to communicate with you. Shut up and listen to what she has to say to you. So it's like that happens a lot. And I'm just like, please stop doing this. And one of my friends had to actually tell his spirit team, yo, you got to take it easy on her, because you're pushing too much on her too fast. And their spirits actually did calm down a bit. Trust me, like I said, I never thought I was going to be this woman. I never thought I was. But anyway, but here we are. Here I am. Here I am. The universe sent me. So yeah, so that's what my spirit team told me last night before I went to bed. And it was just like, we are training you to argue without it turning into, especially a full blown argument where you're yelling, they're yelling, no one's talking, no one's communicating. I don't want that. It makes me feel sick. It makes my body sick. And I'm doing way too much with my body for my body not to feel good. I'm doing weird shit with my body. So I don't want, like, I'm not going to get my body in shape and have the best body that I've ever had and be with someone who I'm constantly arguing with. And we can't come to an agreement on how things work. I can't do that. So they're training me, they're training me how to do this. And I think that's why I'm around a bunch of guys, because they're training me how to work with men, like, because I don't know, I'm not a man, I've never been one, so I don't know. And I'm starting to realize from my friends, men think very differently than women, and they respond to things differently than we do. And it's not even because before it was like, oh, women are so emotional, so I was like, okay, I'll be less emotional and I'll use logic. Sometimes logic doesn't even work. And I'm sitting here going, okay, I logically explained this to you with no emotion. Why the hell is this still not? And then that starts to factor in what's their moon sign, what's this sign, what's this and what's that, and all that stuff turns into a factor when it comes to, I guess, being with guys. And not just guys, but girls too. But yeah, so remember, there's a difference between arguing and an argument. We are practicing to argue, and to argue with a purpose. I think I might make that another video. You need to argue with a purpose. You don't argue just to argue. Like, I have a friend, he argues, he spars. It's like there's like spar. Sometimes he's not even, it doesn't even bother him. He just does it just to see if he can get a rise out of you. And he doesn't do it. It sounds malicious, but it's really not. He's literally training me how to argue. And it's like, and training me to know when someone's trying to pull me into an argument for no fucking reason. So that's what I've learned with his craziness. I'm like, okay, all right. So, oh, you just popping off for no goddamn reason. You could pop off by yourself. And I just walk off. And then he's like, damn, she got it. And sometimes he does catch me. There are times that he does catch me. And I'm just like, and then my spirit is like, hey, he's duping you. What are you doing? And I was like, oh, I fall for it all the time. But I digress. But yeah, so when my partner comes in, I want us, I know it's not going to be like roses and peaches every day. There's going to be roses and peaches. Don't get it twisted. But it's not going to be roses and peaches every day. There's going to be times where I'm not going to agree. And there's, because I'm not an agreeable person, and I'm my own sovereign being. I'm my own person. I'm not going to have my person come in and I shrink into them. That's not going to happen. It's like I'm going to stand firm in my empire. He's going to stand firm in his empire, and we're going to build something out of the two empires. Does that make sense? Or like heal the world together. But yeah, so that's it. Stay blessed. Deuces. I'm out.